Hi everyone, I'm Crafty Sue and this is my channel, and welcome. To any of you who may be new, thank you very much for taking the time to watch my video. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that little button so you can see my next video. And if you are returning, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It means so much to me that you come back and watch my videos. I so appreciate that. So appreciate that. So today's the day. I finally had a market. I think my phone's a little crooked. Finally had a market. And it didn't cancel on me. After having 4 or 5 cancel on me this year, I just had my fingers crossed that this one wouldn't, and it did not, So it was on Saturday, and fortunately, it was like 10 minutes down the street. It wasn't very far, in a community about 10 minutes from me. Apparently they do this every year. I had never heard of it. My daughter-in-law had sent me the application for it because she was booked elsewhere for that Saturday. And I applied and got in. So Grumpy and I got up early Saturday morning, and setup time was at 8 o'clock. And we got there a little after 8. I didn't need 2 hours to set up. The market opened at 10, and the space was small, 6 feet, a 6-foot table. That's all I gave you, and they gave it to you. We were indoors. Some vendors were outside and had to bring all their own stuff, so they had more room than we did. But all of us that were indoors, and there were quite a few, we had a 6-foot table. You can't fit a whole bunch of plushies on a little 6-foot table. That was a very difficult thing for me. So the whole day I kind of felt like my table was cluttered. I wanted to get some things out there, and if I wanted to put a little bit bigger item, it took up quite a bit of space. I had a section that I did just Christmas things in case anybody was interested in anything Christmas, which was not a big seller. I don't know. I guess people don't like Christmas items. I didn't sell a single Christmas ornament. Not one. Not one. I was so disappointed. No, and no pickles, no Christmas pickles, a lot of attention to them. People would stand there and read the little poem on it and everything, and laugh and say, what a great idea, and then look at me and say, I don't have any kids. And okay, what do you want me to say? Buy it anyway. Nope. No Grinches sold, no elves sold. Christmas wasn't something anybody seemed to be interested in, except for one, which I'll tell you later. So, can you see I have a t-shirt with writing on it? You've never seen me with anything like this on. Never, ever, ever. Couldn't decide what to put on this morning. It's big. It's big, but I have to show you. I had seen this online, and I had to buy it because it has Rhode Island in it. I hope this is correct, looking at you, not backwards. But it says, just a Rhode Island girl, and that's Florida, in a Florida world. It should say, just a Rhode Island girl stuck in a Florida world. Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm still a Rhode Island girl. Anyhow, so we got there, I don't know, 8:15, 8:20, something like that. Checked in. They showed us our space, which was phenomenal. It was right at the entrance, and we were the second booth in on the right because there were people on both sides. So that was great. People would come in. If they went straight, I was the second booth they come to. If they turned, to the right when they came in, well, then I was probably one of the last booths that they'd see. But I think most people came straight in. So traffic was okay. Like with any market, you get your big cluster of people all at once, and then it dies off for a while, and then you get this big cluster of people again. There were a lot of repeat people to my booth. They would come back and leave and come back and leave. Some would buy something, some would not. There were a lot of kids there, and I'd say a lot of tweens, tweens, 12-ish years old. They were constantly at my booth, all the time. One of them got several items from me. There was one other crocheter, or I should say 2 other crocheters, but selling together, and they were 14-year-old girls, and they had just started this, and they were there with their moms, and one of the moms had come over to my booth and told me about them. So during one of my slow periods, I walked over and looked at their stuff, and they were doing pretty good. And they each had a sweater or a shirt on that they made, which is better than me because I have never made clothing. Never, ever, ever. Other than hats, beanies, lots of beanies. But, so I congratulated them and encouraged them, and later in the day they came over and looked at my booth, and they were like, oh my gosh, you made that? And I said, yeah, keep going, you'll do it too. So tried to encourage them, and I hope they did well. I didn't see them at the end of the day, so I don't know how they ended up doing. They didn't have a whole lot at their booth, but it was their first market. So it was cute. It was really nice. I was happy for them, 14, doing this. So you won't believe this, Robin, but I was not a social butterfly at this market. The only time I left was when I went to see those girls. That's it. I did not walk around and look at anything. I did buy. The lady on the side of us made wreaths. She was a really, really nice lady, and nobody was buying anything. And she did nice work, really, really nice work. And she had a wreath that I liked a lot. And I knew if I bought it, it would cover her entry fee. Entry fee was $35. So I bought it. And Grumpy, of course, had to buy stuff. He bought a beautiful bowl, a beautiful wooden bowl. I should have brought it in to show you. And he bought cookies, of course. The booth right behind us, she made homemade cookies, and it was some kind of apple cookie. He bought one for him and one for me. I didn't eat one. I gave it to him. I'm not a big cookie person. So it was okay. It was really cold that morning, and they left the doors open, so it was cold in there. And I'm glad I layered my clothing, but I had to put my sweater on. Had to. It was quite chilly. And there were a lot of vendors. I don't know how many. It was a huge room, very big room. But they packed people in, I'll tell you. They gave you 6 feet, and that was it. You got 6 feet. It was, you'll see in my little video of my table how little room I had. I brought a couple of those, I don't know what you call them. You know, the little wooden tables that you have in your living room that you can eat off of if you're watching TV. Brought a couple of those, and I was able to squeeze them in on the sides of the table. And the 2 people on the side of me were very, very nice about that I took up a little extra room. And one of them I was able to put my clearance basket on, and the other one I was able to put a few more items. So setup went fine. I was ready well before 10 o'clock. well before 10 o'clock. So Grumpy and I were just sitting there talking, and this gentleman came over. And he loved the pickle. I mean, he just loved that pickle. He was bringing other people over. These were now people that had booths there because it wasn't open to the public yet. And he was bringing people over. Oh, you got to look at this. Oh, you got to look at this. He was so funny. And he ended up buying a shark from me, one of my sharks I made. And I'll put up a video later. And he loved it. And he kept coming back and looking at things. I don't remember if he bought something else. I don't remember. I don't think he did. I thought for sure he'd come back for a pickle because he was just, he was in love with the darn pickle, but he didn't buy it. Oh gosh, it was funny. I have no idea who the coordinator was for the show. We never saw a coordinator. No one ever came around to the table to see if you were okay or if you needed anything. They were doing some kind of auction. If they were selling tickets, I didn't see where that was. No one came around trying to sell tickets for it. They had a ton of things. They had a big stage in this room, and they had a ton of stuff. We all had to donate something. So they had a ton of stuff up on that table that they were giving away. But every time they got on that microphone, it was horrible, horrible. Ugh, the sound. I couldn't understand a word they were saying. And Grumpy kept leaning over and go, I don't know what they're saying. Me neither. No idea. So doors opened and people came in, and it was kind of slow at first. It was a bit slow at first. Before the market started, I sold 2 things to other vendors. And I believe, and I could be mistaken, I don't know, because I didn't walk around and see who had tables. But I believe those were the only 2 vendors that bought anything from me. I'll save this story for the end, if I remember. So anyhow, I guess I'll tell you what I did. So the first thing I sold was to a vendor. And it was, no, let's stop a second. Let me show you my setup first. Okay, be right back. See how cramped and crowded that was? I hated it. I did not like what my table looked like. I did not like that it was crowded like that. It was hard. It was a lot harder than I thought it would be to set that up, because I could put so little on there. Just so little. So, not pleased with that. So sorry, it's not a beautiful setup, but it's the best I could do with what I was given. So let's get on to some sales. So my first sale was to a woman who I believe was a vendor. She came up to me and she wanted a little blue velvet dog. And I'll put a picture of the dog, but I don't believe it's the blue one. I don't have a picture of the blue one. But same dog, just in blue. And I had a price of $20 on it. well, she came with $18. Showed me a picture of her grandbaby and said she wanted to buy it for her grandbaby, but all she had was $18. I hate when people do that to me. I hate when people do that to me. Because I'm a softie. I'm a softie. And I have to quit doing that. But I let her have it for $18. It was the first sale of the day. It was before the market even opened. So, what can I say? I did it. I did it. And then I was mad at myself because I kind of felt like she ripped me off because she was walking around all day long. So, anyhow, then my second sale was the Blue Shark to that gentleman who loved the pickles. And that was $18. I'll put a picture. Now you're only going to see a pink shark because that's the only one I have left. I had 3 and I sold 2. So looked like that, but blue. And then I sold one of my card holders, you know, the little round card holders. There'll be pictures up here so you can see them. Someone bought a card holder. She was with a lady from my community, and she knew who I was right away. She knew who Frank was right away. I think Grumpy and I went out with her and her boyfriend to dinner one night. Long time ago, because when I moved to this community, I started a 55 and over club so I could meet people in my community, and they were part of it, and we liked them and had a good time with them. And we went out to dinner with them last, one evening, had a great time, and then we kind of lost track of each other. So I believe that's who it was. And then I sold my other dog, like the blue one, but it was brown, and I don't have either one of those colors. I think the one you're going to see is purple, and that was $20. Then a lady came over to me and she says, she had a list of things that she needed to buy. She says, I need something in gray that's sea related. Of course, I had no turtles that had gray in it. And then I thought, I have a shark. She goes, that would be perfect. Let me see it. So I pulled it out and showed it to her. And I also had my big pink mouse. And I showed that to her too, because it was gray. Excuse the lighting. We're having storms today. And the light comes in and goes away. The thunder starts, the rain starts, it goes away, the sun comes out. It's crazy today. She loved the gray shark. And she bought that for $18. Then this young lady, I'd say an older teen, came over, and she loved the possum. These darn possums are so... I'm going to try to brighten this light a little, because I'm seeing shadows. I don't know if you are. Sorry, guys. There you go. That's better. So she bought my big possum. Big. I'll put a picture. You see all 3 sizes I have. She bought the bigger one for $15. It's the only one I had with me. I wish I had more because she would have bought a second one. And she also bought a possum keychain. Now, I had made these little tiny possums. They were a test for Scarlet Garden Crochet. And I had made 5 of them for what was supposed to be our October market. And she bought one of those. So she bought the big possum and she bought the keychain possum and the total on that was $23. Someone bought one of my small turtles, all from Jade Pattern, I believe. It was the rainbow one. I'll put one up here. I think it's my pumpkin pie one, I'm not sure. But it was $14. And then the same girl that bought the possums came back and bought another possum keychain for $8. And then she came back and she asked me if I had another big possum because she wanted her boyfriend to have the big one in a keychain like she had. But I didn't have any. But I asked her if she lived in that community and she said yes. And I said, well, I live 10 minutes down the street. So if you want one, you have my email address. Just email me and I will happily make one for you. Haven't heard from her yet, so we'll see. We'll see. And then someone came and bought 3 of the little tiny turtles, you know, the little ones that Robin did and has a pattern for. So they were $5 each. So that was $15. And then there was, oh, this cutest little girl. She's come to my booth so many times, and she was looking and looking and looking. She goes, I want to buy something. No, I want something. And I says, well, what do you want? She goes, I don't know, but I want something. And I says, well, do you have money? I didn't know what else to say to her. I didn't want to be rude, but I didn't know if she thought I was just going to give her something. She was maybe 10 years old. I'm not sure. She had a little pink wallet in her hand. And she goes, yeah, I want that cow. And I'll put the picture up. This is a cow that I did a test on 2-3 weeks ago. And that sold. And she had the money, and that was $28. So she was happy as a lark going off with her green and pink cow. And then I sold a little white kitten for $14. This was from one of the ladies who worked the market. And she had this young girl that helped her quite a bit. So she came over and she says, I'm going to be back with the little girl that helped me. She says, I want to get her a little something as a thank you. So she did. She came back with her and she told her to pick something out, but one of the less expensive things, not a $30 item. So she picked a little white kitty, and that was $14. So she was very happy with that. And she had one of my turtles in her hand. And I'm not seeing it on the list. So I don't know. Maybe we forgot something. Maybe we forgot something. And then there was a whole group of people at the table, and there was a little boy, maybe 3-4 years old. And he loved the snake snap bracelets. And finally his mom says, is that what you really want? And he said, yes. So she says, okay, just what color? And he picked out the color he wanted. And she snapped it on his wrist, gave me the $10, and off he went with a big smile on his face looking at the snake on his wrist. He was so cute. He was just so cute. I got the biggest kick out of that. And then I had a lady come whose husband is in the military and he's stationed in the Middle East. And she said, I want something really small that I can send to my husband. And everything I had real small was already on the table. So I said, look on this shelf. I have my littlest things on that shelf so they get lost on the table. So she looked and she settled for a stingray that she's going to send to her husband, and that was $7. My stingrays, I used to sell a lot of those at that hotel market, always to the same man who liked to buy them and give them to kids that came to the hotel. Then a lady came by and said, asked me if I had ladybugs. I happened to have 2 left. So I picked one up and showed it to her. And she belonged to some kind of ladybug group, something or other that it was called. And she lost a friend who was in that group. And she said, well, if I hold on to this, maybe it'll keep good memories of her with me. I almost started crying. You know, it was like, and she was getting a little, ugh. And don't you just want to give everything away? That's how I feel. I felt so sad for her that she lost her friend and they were in this group together, and And she wanted the ladybug to keep those memories alive every time she looked at it. Ugh. I'm telling you, I'm such a softie. Oh my gosh. So that was $8. Then I sold 2 more card holders. That was $10. They're $5 each. I finally sold a loaf cat. A loaf cat. And I'll just put a picture of a loaf cat here because I don't have any black ones. This was the black loaf cat. It was $18 because it was fairly large. And she asked me if I did a big order of a particular thing, would I lower the prices a little bit? And I says, well, I don't know. It depends what you order and how many you want. So she's got my email address too. I don't know if she'll contact me to make a bunch of something for her. I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. So then I sold another white kitten for $14. I don't remember who that went to. Don't remember. Then there was a little girl who was around the table quite often. First with her dad, then with her mom, and then with her dad again. So she wanted scrunchies. So I sold 3 scrunchies to her. And my price on them was $6 each, or 2 for $10. And she bought 3. So that added up to $16. And then just before we were ready to, well, not really just before we were ready to close, but my last sale of the day, this couple came in. They were so funny, and they were looking in the clearance basket, which I hadn't sold anything out of. Nothing. Why? Why don't you want these? So they were going through it, and first they picked out a couple of silly little things and saying, oh, he would love this, he would love that. And they were looking for little stocking stuffers for their sons. So they ended up, I had 3 leggy frogs left in my stash, and I had thrown them in that basket, and they ended up buying all 3 leggy frogs. And I had them marked at $8 each, so that was $24. And that was the last sale of the day. That was the last sale of the day. Now, there was a lady across the way from me. She didn't seem to be selling very much. She kept coming over, and she was in that basket all the time, and she was picking out maple chickens. And she would look at them, and she goes, oh, well, she thought the price was too high. Well, when we got to the end of the night, the day, and I saw what our total was, I went over and made her an offer she couldn't refuse, but she did. She did. And anyway, my total for the day ended up at $288. Not fantastic, but a lot better than all those canceled markets did, right? So my booth fee was $35, and my square fee was $3.71. And of course I didn't add this up to tell you what the grand total is. So that's 55, 50, I don't know, a little over $250. So since my total was $288, I went across to that lady and I said, do you still want that chicken? Because I'll lower the price to $12 for you, because I really wanted to hit that 300 mark. And she said, no, I don't want it. And I went, "Ugh." So close, so close. But I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it. And I had a good time. It felt great to be out there again. And I do like indoor markets, and they're not as frequent as you would think here in Florida where it's so hot. This happened to be a cold day, but I don't know. I had a good time. A lady on the side of me, we were talking all the time. the gentleman that Frank bought the bowl from said to me as we were breaking down, he goes, "You must have done really well because there are a ton of people at your booth all the time." Well, yeah, there were a lot of people at my booth all the time, but just because they're there doesn't mean they're going to buy. And a lot didn't, which happens at every market, right? So I'm happy. I'm not disappointed. I'm really happy. So I had $112 in Square, $270 in cash, which is real nice, and $18 in Zelle. So that was really good. I was really happy. My first sale came around 9:20 in the morning to that gentleman with the shock, and it was before we opened, and then that other lady came over and bought the dog before we opened. So that was good. That was good. And I had one sad thing. Someone stole an axolotl, one of my smaller ones from Robin's pattern. Don't know. Have no idea if a little guy walked off with one or whatever. Grumpy was supposed to be my security guard, and I don't know, maybe he was too busy eating apple cookies. I don't know. I didn't have time to watch the whole thing. I don't like when it's crowded like that. You know, there's just no space in between, so there's people all over the place. But I thought it was good. I really thought it was good. I was happy with it. I will do it again next year. I will do it again next year. I hope to have the same spot I had, because it was a good spot. It was nice. When we got there, they had coffee and Dunkin' Donuts for us. So that was nice. And a little disorganized as far as not seeing the coordinator at all, or whatever they were doing up on the stage. We couldn't hear them because their microphone was so bad. We did have a lovely lady who worked at this, you know, one of the workers. And when we were lugging all our stuff in, she came over with a wagon and helped us. She didn't even want me to carry my purse, for heaven's sakes. You know, she loading everything up and bringing it over to our table and helping me put the tablecloth on the table. She was wonderful. And at the end of the day, she came back and she goes, "Let me help you guys unload." So she packed everything up into the wagon again, and off our stuff went with her. She was lovely. She was really, really nice lady. So all in all, I was really happy. I was really, really happy. And I don't know, it just felt really, really good to be out there and doing this again. You know, so much disappointment this year with so many canceled ones that I was just glad this did not cancel, and some stuff sold. And some stuff sold. So I just got an email this morning from my Friday evening market at my grandson's school. So that's still on, which is great. That's not canceled. It's some kind of Christmas deal they're doing at the school. And if what I saw in the email were all of the vendors that are going, there's only 7 or 8 vendors. There's not going to be that many vendors. But I could be mistaken. I'm just reading from what was in the email, who got carbon copied into the email. But on this one, we have to bring our own tables, our own chairs. But I have a 10 by 10 space, so I can use 2 tables and spread out a little bit, which will be wonderful. So I'll borrow a table from my son, because I only have one, and that will give us more room to put more things and spread it out a little bit so everything doesn't look so smushed and stuck in there. Stuck in there. So that'll be fun. That's only a 2.5 hour market. It's from 6 to 8:30. It was so weird. They say the market runs from 6 to 8:30, but please stop breaking down at 8 o'clock. Well, why say it's 6 to 8:30? You should just say it's 6 to 8. So we have to be there at 5 to set up. That's again 10 minutes away, so not far to go. So whatever, oh, and it's free. No charge for vendors. No charge for vendors. So even if I only make $10, that's $10 in my pocket because I have no fees. And they're not asking for anything extra like the one on Saturday did. So I'm looking forward to that. I know my son and grandsons will come. My daughter-in-law and one of my grandsons came to the market on Saturday. That was a nice surprise. My son and my other grandson were doing a market on Saturday. And then Sunday, my daughter-in-law and Logan, the grandson who came to this market Saturday, were doing the market on Sunday. And my son and Jacob, who did the market on Saturday, came to my house on Sunday for football. Did I confuse you with that? They try to switch off days when they have 2 days at a market, unless it's a real big deal thing. And they take a boy with them each day so that they're not home alone all weekend playing video games. So that's cool. That's cool. So I'm looking forward to Friday night and very curious how many people will go. I don't know. It's not a big public school. It's a charter school. So it runs from kindergarten to 12th grade. So I don't know. I did ask her in an email if this was open to all grades, and she never answered the question. So I don't know if there's going to be little ones and seniors. I don't even know if they have seniors in this school yet. I'm not sure. My grandsons are in 9th grade. They might not even have a senior class yet because it's that new. It's a pretty new school. I think this is the boys' 4th year there, 4th or 5th year there. So the high school wasn't even built yet when they started there. I digress. I'm sorry. One more little thing. I had to bring my puppy to the vet yesterday. He's got a hot spot on his neck. I thought it was a cyst that burst, which was kind of weird to me because I never felt any kind of lump or anything on him. So I brought him to the vet yesterday because I wanted to make sure he was okay. I didn't want any infections or anything like that. And the vet looked at it and he goes, "That's a hot spot. And it's very, very itchy to the dog, and they scratch at it, so they rip the skin, and it bleeds because he was bleeding, and poor baby, my poor baby." So they took him in another room, and they shaved all the fur around the area and cleaned it up really good. And at first he was going to give him antibiotics, but then he said, "No, I'm not going to do that." He just gave me an ointment that I have to put on him 3 times a day. He says it'll kind of numb it to take some of the itching away. And at the same time, it's got some kind of antibiotic in the ointment as well to help heal that area. They're tough to heal. I don't know how he got that or why he got that. I've never had an issue with him before. But my poor baby. And today he's pretty lethargic. He's just kind of laying around, not being himself. Doesn't like me putting that ointment on it, that's for sure. Does not like it. And we have to watch him carefully to make sure he doesn't scratch because that will make him bleed. So I ordered puppy slippers from Amazon. That's going to be delivered today. Now we'll cover all his paws so he can't scratch. He's really going to hate me after all of this. Poor little guy. Anyhow, I digress again because that's what I do. That's what I do. But anyhow, so that's it. That's my market story for today. I do have a couple plushies finished. I have another one I'm working on today, which will finish a big order I want to get that out in the mail because I have 2 blueies I want to try to get done over the weekend, so I can get those in the mail by the beginning of next week. Then I will be done my Christmas orders. Yay. Yay. So I will be back tomorrow or Friday, Saturday, whenever I have a minute, and show you those items. And one of them you're not going to believe. Not going to believe I went a little bit overboard. Little bit overboard. It's funny. It's funny. Well, I hope you have a good rest of your day. And until I see you again, keep crocheting. See ya.